I'm Scott L. Miller. It's the 10th of December, 2022, and this is my vlog of daily life in León, Nicaragua. And today is Saturday, but more importantly, finally, we are moving. This has been 9 days since we got the new house. We signed for it, we got the keys and all that, and we have been so busy between work, taking the kids to Managua for their shots, and the big party going on at the beach, the We Got Gems event, and then having to get in with all that, we had to get internet ordered, paid for, and installed before we could do anything. No way we could move into the house without internet, and then we had to actually get packed, and we had to schedule movers and get moved in. So all of that with stuff going on was pretty crazy to try to get orchestrated, and we also have the deadline that we're flying out in 5 days to head to Houston and then on to New York to Buffalo. So we're both under the gun and just have a lot going on to make it really, really hard to move. Today is finally the moving day. So I was up at 6 o'clock this morning, walked the dogs, and it was time to start getting packed because my office wasn't packed yet. It's very difficult to pack that early. Dominica had a lot of the house packed before we got started, so we were in pretty good shape starting the day. But there's a lot going on. The moving crew was coming at 7:30 this morning to kind of help get prepared, and then the truck around 9 o'clock, and we had probably close to 8 people helping out with the move today. So we had a whole group of movers, we had the truck, and then we had our regular staff, and Marcella came and helped and just ran around doing. So there was a lot going on, and a lot of pieces because it's a big house that we're moving. But it's interesting, right? Because one, we have only lived in Nicaragua for so long, and it's not like we moved down in a shipping container. We just came down with luggage. So everything we have is either the stuff we brought down in luggage or things we've purchased in the last little bit less than 2 years that we've been living here. And much of that time, was living at the beach. A lot of that stuff stayed there, right? We didn't buy a lot of things to bring with us. And then we've been in the house for about a year. So it isn't this overwhelming amount of stuff, actually. And I was talking to Mary this morning while I was packing, and she was like, "God, do you have like a lot of stuff?" And she knows me, right? Traditionally, throughout my life, I always had a lot of stuff, like ridiculous amounts of stuff whenever I moved. Even when I moved to my first apartment when I was 19, I moved to college at 18. That was different. Like, you don't take very much. Like, you're not really moving, sort of. But at 19, I moved into my own apartment with Josh. We got a 2-bedroom townhouse in Rochester, in Greece, New York, and in Greenleaf Meadows, for those who want to see where it is. And even then, I had a lot of stuff. Like, it was a big deal to move me. And since then, whenever I've moved, it's just been an insane amount of stuff. I have many more things traditionally than most people, at least most people that I know. But now, living in Nicaragua, I've noticed, one, obviously just our circumstance has made there be a lot less stuff, but also, really importantly, the lifestyle in Nicaragua, and this is what I was saying to Mary, is such that you really don't have the same urge or desire to go out and buy so many things, partially because it's simply not the culture. You don't go shopping as the thing you do, right? Shopping therapy isn't a thing. The idea that you're just going to go all the time, well, I have some money in the bank, we're going to go shopping, or I've got a credit card, we're going to go shopping. We'll go see what there is to buy, right? That kind of approach doesn't really happen here. I mean, it must, but it doesn't happen at all in the same regularity that it does in the US, where it's kind of just what you do. What are we doing? I don't know, let's go shopping, right? Where are we going to go? I don't know. It's just, what do you need? Nothing. Let's just go into stores and see what they can talk us into. Here, when you go shopping, it tends to be much more purposeful, right? Oh, I really need a blender. Where can I find a blender? There's a blender dealer. All right, let's go to the blender dealer and make sure we get a good blender, right? And you'll put some thought into it, and you'll wait a week to do it, and you'll really think about the model you want, and you'll really know what the price should be. And like, there's just a lot goes into every decision, and you tend to hold off on it. And this does a lot of things. One is it tends to take the income that you have in Nicaragua and make it go much farther than you anticipate that it would, because you're used to somewhere else where, let's say you have $1,000, well, that's going to disappear really quickly from all the shopping, for also the higher cost of food and whatever. But here, the amount that you take to go shopping will go so much farther because you simply aren't buying as many things. And you don't really realize, you think, well, I'll just keep buying the same things I always did, right? Why would that change? Maybe their prices will change. But for most people, I think it really does. And certainly the fact that there aren't these mega stores around every corner designed for you to wander through and spend your time just perusing to see if you can find stuff. But they also don't exist because the culture is not to do that. And because you're so encouraged to go out, everything in Nicaragua is built around a culture of, what are we doing tonight? We're heading out somewhere, right? Because of that, you do. And you go out and you sit in a restaurant and you enjoy your dinner or whatever, instead of going to go shopping or whatever. And in the US, if you're going to go to dinner, you're much more likely to go to, of course you can do both in both places, but you're much more likely to go to McDonald's and get a quick to-go meal or a fast food thing, and then you have time to shop. And here you're much less likely to do that and much more likely to have a leisurely long 2 hour, 3 hour, probably 2 hour dinner, and then it's late and the shops are closed and you don't really need to go shopping anyway. And so those changes are really significant. And the result is, not only do you spend way less money, and do you get way better experiences, you enjoy life more, and when you go to pack, there's much less to pack, and when you go to move, there's much less to move. So this move was so quick and easy compared to moves that we've done in the past, that it was both interesting that it was so easy, and also that Mary had asked about that, and it was like, oh, that's really a major factor as to why the move was so easy. Now, of course, the house is still being unpacked now. It is 4:30 that I'm recording this on the day of, right? I'm doing my best to catch up because it's been a tough week. And so we got the first truck started loading at about 9. It took 2 large truckloads and 3 carloads in our Toyota down to the new house to get basically everything. We have the pool table hasn't come yet. That's going to be its own disaster, I'm sure. And there may be, there's like our wireless access unit is still hanging out there because we want to make sure there's internet at the other house as needed. But that is about it. And I have very, very happy dogs running around the yard who just discovered that I'm out here, and so came out to say hello, and they're jumping up on me and stuff. So while we were moving, I'm going to do my best to get them in here because they are so happy. They've been asleep because they've been running around the yard all day. So since we moved, oh, you got to see they're chasing bugs and now each other. When we moved first to Nicaragua, we lived on the beach in Las Pinitas. And so when we were living there, the dogs were really stuck in a rough position that they would go out and sit on the beach all day, but we could never let them loose because we were so close to the road, and they're idiots. And so they would obviously get hit really quickly. So we were very, very careful with them, and that ended up meaning that every morning I would get up and walk them for a few miles, and then they would come back and they would pretty much be locked in a room or be kept on a leash, and they could come sit with us on the beach or whatever, but they could not just run around. And so they were stuck being very, very sedentary compared to what they were used to, because when we lived in Texas, we would just keep the doors open and they would just run and run and run whenever they wanted, but their yard wasn't that big. And then when we were done on the beach and we moved to León, which was about a year ago, the house is in the middle of the city. So the dogs could be loose in the house, which was much better than the hotel where they were stuck in a single room or on leash all the time. But a lot of the time it was hot and the rooms would be air conditioned, so they'd still end up locked in a room for much of the day. And when they needed to go for a walk, I had to walk them in the city, and they had to be kept very, very close and controlled because of how dangerous it was. And so their ability to just get out and run for the last year and a half has been really poor. So they came over in the very first carload this morning, and all of the yard here is fenced off. We have walls there, and I'll show you there's some gates over there, but they're all fenced. Anything that the dogs could have slipped through, previously our maintenance guy came and blocked those all up so that wouldn't be a threat. And so Dominica was able to bring them and just turn them loose in this giant yard. And this yard is much bigger. It goes way out and around behind, and it goes around over that way as well. It goes all over the place. And so they came, and for the first time in a year and a half, they've had the freedom to just run and do anything that they want, and they are the happiest dogs today. They ran until they passed out, and now they've had a nap and they are up and exploring again, and they're so happy that they have access to grass and space and just freedom, and it's so noticeable just how happy these dogs are. And they are going to sleep tonight like you wouldn't believe, because they have not worn themselves out in so long. So the reason that we got a new house was specifically because the dogs needed it, and for lots of reasons. There's also been so much fireworks and stuff of that nature, and this past week is one of the worst weeks for that. So unfortunately, we were stuck with the fireworks when all that was going on, and that was terrible. And so Mia has basically not left the bed. She would just hide up on the pillows for several days at a time. She gets constipated because she's afraid to go out. She'll stop eating and everything. It's really, really bad. And now here we're basically in the country. It is so quiet and peaceful, and you can't get happier dogs than this. So we are now moved in. We are unpacking. My office is all set up. I'm attempting to get the show updated for you guys because I've got to get the episode for the 4th. I'm recording this on the 10th. The episode for the 3rd has already posted. That's the one with Larry Emerson and his concert shown. I've got to get the one for the 4th, which is already recorded but needs to be uploaded, edited, and then rendered and then sent to YouTube so you guys can see it in the morning. I'm down to the wire, and we don't know how fast the internet here is going to be for that, so that's scary to quite some degree. We are just about to start figuring out what we're going to do for dinner. One of the challenges here is we no longer live in the middle of the city, so we can't just walk to restaurants. We don't know how well Ugo or Pedidos Ya is going to work here, so we got to figure that out. And we don't know what people are going to want. Our live-in chef is not here yet. She's expected any day. But that will make things really easy. But for now, we just need to figure out what our food options are out here in the country and take it from there. So that is pretty much where we are today on our moving day, which has been very exciting. And I'm really looking forward to all of the possibilities for the show here because I'm able to, I have so many places around the house without having to actually leave the house where I can film. And there's so many times in the old house where I had to do things in the courtyard and I just had nowhere else to go. And it was loud. In many cases, I had to stop because of church bells. We're no longer by a church. We're no longer by fireworks. We're no longer by the traffic. There's still traffic, but it's very minimal. You've heard it on the video. If you haven't noticed it, then that's how little there is. And lots of spots. There are a lot of bugs out here because we are in the country. And I don't have to talk as loud. I'm so much more quiet. And I'm hoping that this is even better audio for you guys because I'm previously, to get over the background noise, I'm blowing out the microphone. And here, I don't think that's happening at all. This is much easier for me to record in this kind of setting. And I think that there's so much beautiful light here and gardens and interior spaces. And I'm gonna, because this is all enclosed, I'm able to actually set up the tripod and the good camera and do a lot of recording with that and walk away from it. Because previously, I'm always stuck having to be within arm's reach because while crime is relatively, or violent crime is very, very, very low in this country, if you leave a very expensive camera sitting on a tripod, someone will just walk by and take it. Let's be honest. So there are things we have to be careful about. Just don't be stupid. And here I'm able to just do so much more. So I think that the channel is going to see a real uptick in what I'm able to do with it from doing that. So that is our moving day. I know it's barely 4:30 as I'm recording this, but I want to get this done and out. We're just going to order dinner and chill here in the house as we unpack. The girls are super excited, moved into their rooms. They have a Jack and Jill. They've already set up their table. They found, as we moved, a box of Legos that they were not aware that they had, and they are putting that together right now in their room with the cat. The cat was freaked out and for a long time today was missing. For probably 2 hours, the cat had disappeared because she was so scared of the new place because she's almost always just in a room. And the dogs and people. We did eventually find her hiding in a cubby hole in the TV stand. Oh my gosh, there they go. This is what they used to be like long ago, but they've never had this much room. This is just so great. It's so wonderful to see the dogs this happy and just, this is what their lives are now. They're very, very happy dogs. All right, please remember to like and subscribe. Ask any questions, leave your comments below. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so. I'm going to put up a link for Buy Me a Coffee. It's just buymeacoffee.com/Scott Allen Miller. And that comes directly to me and does a lot to help support the channel and all the expenses we have making this and puts dog food in the mouths of these sweet little dogs. And remember to share on social media. Tell your friends about the show. I will see all of you from beautiful, serene, calm Sutiava tomorrow.